about people. So I like that about it. And there's like lots of good food and restaurants because outside of Santo Domingo, you really can't get good food.
It's hard. Yeah, there's like a handful. Well, in Punta Cana, I don't know if you spend a lot of time there or any time there, but like there's a handful of like good restaurants right around
Mm-hmm.
Bávaro Beach, like right around that little beach area. There's like maybe 4 or 5, and they're like ethnically diverse. It's like where
Mm-hmm.
people, are staying as tourists. And so there's like a little Italian spot, and there's like a little Indian spot, and there's like a little, beachfront bar that serves food.
Yeah.
And so there was like a handful. But when I lived there, we cooked.
Yeah.
Like, well, because I was on Dominican money at the time
Oh
too,
yeah.
so I was making like $400 a month when we lived there.
Yeah.
Yeah, girl. I went down there with an American job and was making American money. And then
Yeah.
it was a startup and that finished. And so I was like, well, now I'm here. I've like left all my life in America to come here. And so like, what am I going to do? So then I got a job doing like graphic design, a whole nother thing,
Yeah.
at like a marketing firm. And
Mhm.
so, but they were like, yeah, we can pay you like $400 a month. And I was like, okay. I mean,
Yeah.
to
That's
live
basically
there,
what
you
they
can
pay
do
everyone.
it.
That's what they were going to pay me to
Right,
teach too.
exactly. But that's
I
also
was
why we
like,
left, because I was like, this is not sustainable when I know I can go home and like crush it,
yeah.
you know?
Yes.
But I think it was worth the sacrifice. But yeah, so if we wanted to go out and have a meal, you're paying American dollar prices for a meal. So it was like at least $30 maybe
Yep.
a person to go eat. And so that's like a huge portion of my budget for a
Yeah.
month.
Absolutely. Yeah. No.
So we had to get out of there.
That would have been a lot. I know.
Yeah.
You're really being ridiculous. Ridiculous. This is Gizmo. That's
Gizmo. I
yeah.
think I remember Gizmo.
He's the cutest. All right. What
Um,
are the people asking? I never pay attention
yeah,
to the
I
comments until
know.
they have questions.
I was
Are you still with the guy from the Dominican? No. Being a business owner is not for the faint. No.
no.
What do you mean you don't cook and clean? Oh, this guy. I cook. I don't really have energy to clean. I don't, I clean when I have to do spiritual work. I clean on like New Year's and shit, but no, I'm not mopping floors.
It's
I
not for
got shit
everybody.
to do.
You know
It's
what I'm saying?
not. It's
Dude,
just,
I've had to work on my Guillermo is very clean, and he's not just like I want you to clean. He
mm,
cleans. And
mm,
he's very like, I don't want to say OCD because I think we throw around like
yeah,
things a
diagnoses.
lot. Yeah, we're like diagnosing people on a whim. But like it's given like preference, hard preference, you know?
Yeah.
And so I just had to really get used to his way of living. Not that I'm like a slob. I just
You try and close.
want to come home sometimes and kick off my shoes and not think about where things have to be. But like he can't relax until things are where they're supposed to be.
Johan's that way too. He is actually kind of a neat freak. So that was one thing that was hard. Because like he had very clear expectations of like how he wanted things done, but there just wasn't enough hours for me to do all the things. So yeah, that was challenging. But that's why we're not still together.
Right? Yeah. Some things don't work out for a reason, you know?
Exactly. All right, you want to come on the live because now you're just being annoying.
I know. My dog made an appearance for all of 4 seconds.
He's just very annoying.
I was gonna ask you, or yeah, how are you still a part of the TikTok tournament? 90-day
The
TikTok
TikTok
tournament?
tournament was squashed.
Why?
Um, um, we weren't allowed to do it. I think people who are on current seasons,
Oh,
it was
sure.
like a conflict of interest.
Sure.
Yeah, it ends up like Roz and I battled on Sunday, and I don't know, it was kind of dramatic. I feel like I am like the 90-day recruiter. I
No,
don't
I know
know why
you
everyone calls it that.
recruited me, remember? And then I got out
No.
of it, but I
He called me.
appreciate
He's
it.
like, I think that I need your help. Can you please we really want to do a tournament. Can you please get people to do this? I'm like, yeah, I talk to people. Like, why not? We can do this. So I called everyone to do it. And then all of a sudden nobody was allowed because it was like 20 of us. And I think like there's power in numbers.
Sure.
And I think that they don't necessarily want us all in the room having conversations. I think that's part of it. And,
Yeah.
I get that. So, but it was fun. I'm on TikTok all the time. Like that's really
It's
where I spend most of
so
my time.
hard for me because I have all of like 65 followers on TikTok, but then I have like a 200 some thousand on Instagram. So it's like, if I only have this much time to devote to social media in
Yeah.
a day, why would I post over there?
TikTok is so easy to monetize. That's really why I made the transition there. And honestly, if I went live and you were a little box, you would have 1,000
All right,
followers in like 5 minutes.
so maybe we can go live on your TikTok.
Yeah.
because I also just I feel so foreign on TikTok. I spend so much time on Instagram, like
It
curating
gets used
things.
to it.
And
I was exactly the same. I'm talking 3 weeks. If Ty's Ray's in here, he knows. I
is
had like,
Tyree in here?
I know he
Tyree?
was here before. Like he knows. It was like 5 minutes. All of a sudden, I had like 10,000
Oh,
followers. And my
well, and
team was like,
people
"You have
say
to
it's
do a
so much
TikTok."
easier to blow
So much
up.
easier, yeah. And my team has been like, "What are you doing on Instagram? Get on TikTok." Because I pay people to like do this for
Sure.
me, and I'm like, I'm fucking 44. Like this isn't my
Well,
realm.
for
This isn't the
me,
world I
it's
live
like the equivalent of like I'm an Apple user and now I'm
in.
trying to use Samsung or
Yeah.
Android. Like, what the fuck?
It's not as hard of a transition as you think. Like once you get on there, especially because it's all 90-day people on there, it'll take you five
No.
minutes. It took me 2 weeks and I have like 26,000 followers.
Okay, so my TikTok handle, I saw somebody ask. My TikTok handle is at Kara Leona. It's the
You didn't have
same.
another one? Is it because there's another one that's you
No.
that I thought was you and it has like 12,000 followers or
Oh, is that?
something.
Well, you know what's weird is that I went to like sign in and I signed in and none of the videos that I posted previously were there. And I was like, oh, maybe they just wiped my shit.
There is another, but it's not just Caroliona. It's like Caroliona something, and I thought maybe it was like a scam account.
Maybe it
But it had a
is.
lot more. It had a lot more followers.
I mean,
Because
it
when
could
you
be.
sent me yours, I'm like, maybe she's not wanting to use that one. Maybe she wants to use a different one.
I mean, I just logged in with my login information and it just like,
If I
I mean,
find it,
whatever.
I'll
I'll
send it
start
to you.
from scratch. Like, I don't care.
Yeah,
Like I said, it's just hard if I have just a little bit of
yeah.
time. Like, if I'm going to choose a platform, I'm going to choose the one where there's people there,
Already engaging with you. Yeah.
you
No, I
know?
understand. It's also about like, what do you want to do with it? I feel like if you're gonna do stuff with your music, it's also a lot easier to grow
I
there
thought
because if you go,
about just having my music be on TikTok,
that's
truthfully, and like doing like
especially
singing
right now
videos,
when there's no
covers,
universal.
acapella.
There's no universal, so that's what every independent artist should be on TikTok right now because they took away
I
all
know.
universal music.
I was gonna.
There's
It's so funny that you bring this up because I listened to a podcast called "De-Influence." It's by this influencer girl I've been following forever, and I love her. And it's her and her husband, and they cover topics, and they call it a segment like things that make you go, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah,
And they were talking about how Universal took all of the, they're trying to like strong arm,
yeah, to get paid more.
TikTok to get paid more, whatever. Which I think is so dumb on their behalf. Like they're only harming the artist truly because that's how people get
Yeah,
famous,
yeah,
and I'm like, what the fuck? I can only imagine the artists are like, hey, please put my music back on the fucking platform, please. Like,
yeah,
what are we doing? Um,
yeah. It makes sense.
anyways, but from that podcast, I wrote down like a little bit, like a little like thing because I like to be prepared a little. So they covered some topics that I was going to ask you your opinion on because I thought they were interesting.
Okay.
Apparently, I don't know. Are you a fan or no fan of Elon Musk?
Um, I don't really care either way. I mean, I think he's an asshole. I think
Sure.
like some of the things that come out of his mouth are like
Arrogant.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't. I guess what's the other guy? Matt Rife. Like it's kind of like that comedian guy. I can't remember his name, but like they're kind of like the same. It's just like frat
Yeah.
boy nonsense.
Boys
That's kind
Club.
of yeah.
Crazy
I don't
shit.
really
Yeah.
watch that.
So
That's it.
I just asked because apparently his company, and I don't know the name, it's another company of Elon Musk, has like implanted the first like
Oh, the chip.
microchip into someone's brain. And I
Yeah.
know you're all about like health and wellness and stuff. And I just thought it would be so interesting to hear your thoughts on like, what do you think of a microchip
This is the
in people?
I think it's inevitable. I think it's inevitable. I think we are all going to hate it right now. We're going to all think it's stupid. And everyone's going to be like, nobody's putting a chip in me. Nobody's putting a chip in me. But if the people will do anything for
Yeah.
convenience, Americans want everything yesterday. So if that chip in my brain is going to get me Starbucks faster, everybody's
Ew,
going to have the fucking chip. Uh,
I hate that.
It's disgusting. I don't want the chip. I would like to
No,
live in the mountains by myself. I don't
I
want any
hate
part of
that
it.
like the thought of getting through a Starbucks line faster would incline people to put a fucking microchip
New
in their
Yorkers,
brain.
New Yorkers, they will put in a third arm if it means that it will cost them a half hour less. No
Then
joke.
just
Like
move out of New York. Do you know what I mean?
I
Like
know,
you're
I
gonna.
don't disagree with you, but I think everybody wants the new thing, right? Like you have all these
No, I
idiots who
know.
are
I
walking
thought
around with
about
the
it.
Apple Vision Pro
I
glasses, and
I know.
it's like really funny, really, really funny. all over New York. My friends are sending me pictures from the subway about all these people who are like doing this. They're just doing
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Well, and okay, so they brought up like a point. It's like, okay, so how many people would have to get it and like rave about it in order for you to feel comfortable getting it? Like
I think the long term effects of like what that would do to your physical body, I don't feel like that's something that I would need.
ever.
I don't think that's something I would need ever. I think if you would have talked to me when I was like in my 20s or 30s, sure, I would have been the first one online for it because I would be
Yeah,
like, new thing, you know. Now it's kind of like the novelty of all that shit is worn off. I don't go to Starbucks anyway.
me
I
either.
don't leave my house. Like, I don't really care that much now
Yeah,
at
but
this
you do
stage. But
spend like all your time on the computer
on
and like
TikTok, yeah,
online. Like if
yeah.
it made what you were doing like easier, maybe, right? I mean,
I don't know. I like. What is the purpose of it? Is it
I
tracking
don't know.
people?
Well, and for me, it's like, okay, if we're just taking the hardship out of every single task in life, like, are we then just like brains? Like, we're just like, we have no function in the physical world anymore? Like,
But that's
what
what's
becomes of our body?
happening with like AI, right? Like it's going to be smarter than us. Like eventually AI, because it, the way that AI works is it like takes the general average of like what exists about a particular thing and it puts it all together. And eventually if it keeps doing that and doing that and doing that, it's going to be smarter than us
Yeah,
because
there's a
you're going
term
to have
for it.
the
It's like
best of everyone.
self-educating, but there's like a
Yeah.
term for it. I don't know.
Yeah. And so it ends up being like smarter than humans. So I feel like if that's the technology that they're putting in these chips, are we, can it like reprogram how my brain functions? Is it
Yeah,
like
I
impacting my pineal gland?
should be.
Like,
I don't know enough about it. If it's like just
yeah.
gonna help me
If,
like,
it,
start my
if I
car
Google
to warm it
faster,
up
yeah.
for me, like that's
Yeah.
cool. If it's gonna like override my own body functions or something, and like what if it malfunctions and I'm like just peeing out in the street random or something? Like what happens?
Or
Because
you think
technology
like the
sucks.
first version just like starts your car and then the next update like that you don't know that you downloaded makes you
Uh,
pee in the street. Yeah, like I don't know. I don't think I really need a chip in my brain. I think I'll leave that for
no,
the
I
next
think
generation. Let my son.
think I would have to have like literally everyone around me like for like a long time being like, Carol, what are you doing? Like, why don't you have it? Like, it's so great. Like, I would need like millions of reviews that are positive and
Yeah.
like beneficial and all the bugs worked out before I could commit.
I want to know what the chip does. I want
Yeah.
to know like what is the purpose of this chip?
Yeah, I
Is it
don't
just
know.
like the glasses that like you Google? Do you think about something and it shows up? I don't
Well,
know.
this couple that I've heard this on the podcast, they were like, could we like not even have to talk? Like, would it be like telepathy? We're just sending messages back and forth, like bing, boom, bing, but like,
How can a chip know your thoughts? Like, I always find it weird when my phone knows what I'm thinking. Like, I never say it out loud and I'm just thinking a thing and it shows up
that's
on
just
my phone.
algorithm. It's based on what you're searching.
But no, sometimes it's not. Sometimes I think of a thing and I don't search it and it just shows up. It happens all the
I
time.
think I think there's data that's like if you searched this one thing, it's likely that you've also been interested in like
These
these
other
other
things,
10 subjects and
I
they'll
hope
push
so.
them to you and see what like hits. I don't know.
I don't know.
We need someone in
I
the
hope so.
comments to educate us because
I don't know. I'm not paying
we don't know.
attention.
Anyways, that was my microchip question. I feel like it's interesting and like
Yeah, I
potentially
agree.
controversial.
The last comment I see is, "Are you still with the guy from the Dominican?" I don't know if I'm missing comments. Is that the last comment you see?
Um, I see something that's not English.
Yeah,
It's like
I
a
think
character,
like they kind of
like
disappear. They're not.
Thai maybe. So weird when that happens. Yeah, it is weird. Miss Gates, you're glowing. That's what I see.
Oh, thanks.
Um, okay, so on my little Leona curated jewelry card,
I love it. Are those
I
the
just
only earrings?
no, they're not. Okay, so fun fact, I'm expanding my whole store. So we're getting out of just jewelry and we're doing like bags, sunglasses,
Oh wow, that's
shoes.
so
Yeah,
cool.
that's why my Leona curated page has been a little bit silent because I'm working on a bunch of shit.
That's so awesome.
Um,
Do you have a brick and mortar, or is it just online?
no, yeah, so it's online. Right now I'm trying to just keep it all online because I don't want
No,
all of the headache of having
I
to
would agree
like
with that.
harbor all of the
Mm.
things. So I'm just moving everything to online and just expanding
Mm.
because little gold jewelry just isn't enough, you know?
I love it.
Anyways, so I also saw this thing online that said, what is your, are you a fan of Rihanna?
Yes.
What is your, like, what is the GOAT Rihanna song for you? Like, when you think of, like, the best Rihanna song you've ever heard,
Oh, I
or,
need.
like, the one that makes you feel the
Hold
best.
on. I need a list. I need a list. I need a list. Let me look. Need something to choose from. I feel like it's work. Like that's really the one that comes to my
Work,
mind.
work,
Like at this point.
work.
Yeah.
Oh my God. In that video, her and Drake,
Yeah. That's a great.
so fire.
There's so many. Only Girl, We Found Love. These are all
Wait,
good
how the
ones.
hell, where did you get a list from that fast?
Spotify.
Oh, I thought you stood up and got like a notebook and you already had like
No.
Rihanna songs like
Spotify.
on it.
No. Spotify. Yeah. We Found Love's a good one. I mean, I don't. Is there a bad Rihanna song?
I don't know, but I love work. This is like the hood in me. I love like
Oh
bitch better have my money.
yeah.
Like every time I'm like fucked off on someone, I'm just like
Yeah.
bitch better have, even if they don't owe me money. It's just what
Yeah.
goes
That's a
off in
good
my head.
driving song.
It's the energy of the song, you know? It's
Yes.
like I'm not actually gonna whip out a gun and shoot anybody or anything, but you know, I'm not like wielding a gun.
Yeah. You
I
make
was
it
also
right.
gonna say Ponda Replay, her very first
Oh
one
yeah.
when she was
That
like
was
a
her
little
first song.
baby.
Ponda
Yeah,
Replay was her
Ponda
first one.
Replay, I
We
think.
gotta play it. Hey Siri. Siri doesn't want to talk to me today.
Don't
Hey Siri.
act like you
Oh,
forgot. Somebody just
because that's
commented
your
like bah, bah, bah. Just
Yeah.
kidding. I shouldn't do finger pistols in the camera. That's not good.
Yeah, if you're on
No,
TikTok,
somebody's gonna
forget it. They ban you.
screenshot that shit and be like, Kara was threatening the general public.
Wait, 2005 was her first album. Look how young she is. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
she was a baby. She was literally like
No,
17.
no, this isn't my favorite. I mean, it's
It just
fun, but like,
reminds me of like the beginning when
yeah.
I first heard her name. The
Oh, yeah.
replay. I
That's
feel
a
like
good
it's
vibe.
so like giving like the Caribe, you know?
Yeah, that's a vibe. It's been a
No, it
while.
is a vibe. Also, one of her songs, "Love on the Brain," it's more like of an
Yes.
R&B. I used to cover that song in China at the beginning of my show. I used to open with like me singing that song under just a spotlight, like completely dark in the club, just a
Oh my
spotlight.
God, that's so awesome.
Yeah, so that one has a soft spot in my heart.
What exactly did you do in China? It was like you had like a show that you
Okay.
did weekly or something?
So I went to China on a student visa. This is how it
Yes.
happened. My goal was to end up singing in China because
Okay.
I had heard that they like love redheads, they love freckles, they love American people. And I was like, cool, I can do that. So I
Okay.
went over there on this grand adventure and I was like, I'm gonna figure out a way to sing. But first I had to figure out how to get in the country, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So I went on a student visa. So then I ended up studying Chinese language and culture and it gave me a home because I stayed in the dorm. So
Mm-hmm.
it was like all in one kind of deal. I was like, okay, this is great.
Yeah.
But every opportunity I had, I was telling people like, hey, I'm a singer. Hey, I want to sing. I want to perform, blah, blah, blah. And before moving to China, I had competed in bachata, like
Okay.
as, you know, like on a national level in New
Okay.
Zealand. So like on a team and blah, blah, blah. And so I didn't want to lose the skills that I had learned in
Mm-hmm.
dance. So I contacted like a Mexican guy that I found out he was there in my city. And I was like, hey, I see you're a dancer and you dance bachata. Like, could we like meet up and like practice together and like just like so I don't lose my skills that I've like been honing for, you know, this whole time. He was like, yeah, no worries. And so we met up to dance bachata in a studio and he was like, oh yeah, my day job is like in this club. I'm a dancer in this club. I do all the choreography and da da da. Clubs in China are not like clubs anywhere else in the world.
Okay.
Like they are insane. Like they look like full on like shows. You know
Okay.
what I mean? Acrobatic performances, singing performances, dancing, like
Oh
all kinds of
wow.
crazy shit. Like fire breathers, like in the club. Like it's
That's so,
wild.
so cool. It's
It's
like
so
11 in
cool.
Miami.
And like when you can't just like roam in and like sit at the bar. Like you have to like reserve a table with your friend. So it's like groups of like 10, 12 people at
Wow.
a time around a table with like food. You buy a package that has like whiskey bottles and food and it like comes as a package. Like it's a whole experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so this Mexican guy that I developed a friendship with over bachata was one day called me and was like, hey, listen, the singer of our club today called out. Like she's going back to Russia. She was Russian. She was
Mhm.
like, our singer called out. She's going back to Russia. Like, she's not coming back, and we don't have a singer. You said you're a singer and you want to sing. So do you want to work at this club? And I was like, absolutely. I will be there. Don't even ask, you know? So I showed up, and man, it was such a fucking wild interview. I was like, hi, yeah, I'm American. This Chinese, like, boss, he looked like a mafia boss. Like, I'm sure the guys that own these clubs in China, they are in some dirty fucking shit over there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
anyway, so I was in like this boss's office that looked like a scene out of The Godfather, but Chinese, you know?
Mhm.
And he's like smoking the cigarette in his office, and he's like, yeah, tell me about yourself. And I'm like, oh, I'm American. He's like, I'm gonna need to see your passport. Because apparently, like, Russian and Ukrainian girls try to say that they're American to get paid more, because they'll pay more if you're
Oh,
American, because then you
okay.
can sing the songs like properly
Yeah,
with
yeah.
like without an accent.
Okay.
Anyway, so I was like, no, I'm really American. He's like, you're gonna need to bring your passport because I don't believe you. And I was like, I'll bring my passport. Like, what the fuck? And then he was like trying to negotiate my pay down because my boobs weren't big enough and I'm short.
Oh, wow.
And I was like,
Sorry.
listen, I will buy the biggest push-up bra you've ever seen. And I went out and got like online from Baidu, like their version of Google, like the tallest platform glitter like boots. And I was like 6 inches taller. And so I did not let them cut my pay. I proved to them that I was an American. And then I got a really good paying singing job.
That's
And I
awesome.
worked 7 days a week. Um, but only we would clock in sort of. I would go in at like 10 p.m. My show was typically around like 11:30 or 12. And then we do another maybe set around like 2.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
I
hard.
would I would go in at 10, leave. I mean, after I got off in the club, I had no friends. I was in a city I didn't know. And
Yeah.
so I would just stay at the club and party. I'm like, whatever, like these are my friends. I don't have people like my dancers are my friends.
Yeah.
And so we would yeah, just party until like 5 in the morning. And I always used to say when the sun came up, that's how I knew it was time to go to bed.
That's awesome. And what made you leave?
I just it got so lonely
Yeah.
because my contracts were like 2 months at a time and they would rotate singers and they had locations all over China.
Hmm.
And so I would go from one city for like 2.5 or 2 months.
Hmm.
And then I would finally start to feel like comfortable in the space. And then it'd be like, okay, another city. And then I'd have to learn
Okay.
a whole new choreography with different dancers and like different management in a different apartment. And then I would move to the next city. And by the end, I was just like, okay, so what is the end goal here? So
Yeah.
am I just going to spend my life like
Singing in Chinese clubs.
hopping, right, hopping, club hopping, like all over China. Like it's fun for a little while, but it just becomes so lonely. Like you're in a hotel room. I was living in hotel rooms,
Yeah.
like no
I
kitchen.
can definitely see
Like
how
I
that
was
would be a
having to eat
problem.
out all the time. It was just a lot. And so I was like, you know what? I think I need to go home. So I came home for like all of, I don't know, a
Hmm.
year. And then I got the fuck out of there. And and I went to Dominican Republic and the rest
The
is
rest
90
is
day history.
90-day history. That's awesome. That's a good life, though. I mean, I feel like just that experience in China could be a book.
Dude.
That could be a whole book.
I wrote a preface actually when I got to Dominican Republic. I had more time on my hands then, and I was like on the beach and like basking in the sun. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna write a book, and I wrote a preface to my book. But I'm sure now it doesn't make any sense to where I am now. I'd have to like revisit that.
I mean, you can
But
get
yeah,
someone to write a book proposal for you. You can
I need
pay
a
for that. 'Cause that's really
ghostwriter.
well. That's exactly what you do. You get because like I'm going through this process. You the first thing you have to do is get a book proposal, and that's how you get a book deal. And the book proposal is significantly long. Like it's
No,
not like a paragraph. It's like
you
50,
gotta
60
like
pages.
frame it
Yeah.
out. I'm sure.
Yeah, and so I mean, you can work with someone else to do that for you, and then once you have that, you can get a ghostwriter
Yeah,
to do
I
it
need
because
to figure that out because I
yeah,
think it's possible.
it's
I
an
mean,
investment, but
one time somebody shot up the club, like,
that you got to
like
write about that.
shit
I
is
mean, it's
terrifying.
everybody loves stories.
One time I got arrested.
Oh my gosh, just
And
writing them
held,
like essays.
not arrested because I did something wrong. Arrested and held for ransom because I'm white.
Oh my gosh.
And they were like, "No, we know you're
All
American.
right, don't
We know
tell any
somebody's
more
gonna
of these
pay for you."
stories. Don't tell these
No,
stories for free. You
I
cannot.
won't.
No more stories for free. You have to
Catch
write
my book in
them.
10 years, guys.
Exactly. Exactly. It's part of the empire. That's one of the pieces of building an empire to
No,
just
yeah,
write
it's
a
a
book.
multi-rung empire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you expand your audience.
Yeah. Have you been shot up at a club? Buy my book. Yo.
No, I
So,
did get beat up by a bouncer in Rome, though.
see?
Yeah.
Like it happens. People, there's so many crazy ass
Yeah.
stories. And
Yeah.
like the craziest thing about 90 Day, as much as like I could shit on it or hype it up or this or that, you know, like it's such a small snippet of someone's life.
Yeah.
And it's so sometimes I don't want to say completely inaccurate because we are who we are, but it's just such a small window
Yeah.
into someone's life that that little tiny bit gets magnified and that's all people know of you.
You know, it's interesting because we see it from like our own perspective. Like, I know my story, and like my story is this big, and like the only thing that you're showing about my story is this tiny thing. And from
Tiny
their
nugget.
perspective, it's like we have a big storyline, and there's only this much of you that fits into that storyline. So, like, I understand why it's that. Like, it's not about me and Johan. It's not about you and Guillermo.
No,
It's
yeah, of
about like
course.
whatever this overarching umbrella is for the season, and then what, how can we make these couples fit into it? So it's like it's really hard because we all see it as like, but that's not me, that's not me. And they're like, well, because it's not about you, it's about the story. It has absolutely nothing to do with you.
Yeah. Yeah. And like it was hard for me, I think initially. I'm in it now and I totally understand it,
Mm-hmm.
but initially
Yeah.
it was so hard for me to like grasp that it was not like a documentary about Guillermo and I, you know? Like it's not like it's not like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's just it I don't know how to put
No.
it properly, but yeah, it just I took everything like maybe really personal and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, no, but we have to like show me in a way because I need it to be
Yeah.
accurate. You know, like I want it to feel true to me and I want it to and I was like very like adamant and then I was just like, you know what? Let let it be. And then once you like just breathe and get into it, it's so easy. Like now I think about it before and I'm like, why the fuck was I acting like that? Like just like
Yeah, in the beginning. I remember the trailer when the trailer was released for Love in Paradise. I remember calling Adrian. I am blessed that I work with the same producer for all three
oh
shows,
that's
which is like I'm
unheard of, I
really,
think.
really lucky. I don't know that might be why I don't get a call because I don't know if anybody else would work with me. But I remember when the trailer came out, I called her. I was like, what the fuck? Because there was a scene where I was like, I said something about I expected Johan to be poor, but I didn't expect his house to be as bare bones as it was. And to me, when I saw that, I'm like, that feels so fucking ignorant. Like it just, and that's so not me. And I was devastated by that. And like now thinking back, I'm like, that was the least of my problems. Like,
Yeah, y'all they were just getting started, honey.
that was nothing. And like, I never called her about anything again because like I kind of just had to get over it. But yeah, that beginning, that first run
No,
is
it's
like,
such a sharp learning curve and it's just
yeah.
shocking because you are just like a regular ass person and then you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, how's that gonna be perceived? And like we are, you know, we're
Yeah.
people and everybody's
Yeah.
like, oh well, you went on to the fucking show, so you deserve
Yeah.
anything
You
and
knew what you
everything that
signed up
comes.
for. You knew what you signed up for. And it's
It's
like,
like
no, you didn't.
you thought you
Yeah.
knew.
Yeah.
You thought you knew.
By the third time, I didn't even have to like watch them. I like waited a couple of days. Like I didn't have to watch them because like the first two, Love in Paradise and the first season of The Other Way, I like watched as soon as I got it, 7 o'clock in the morning. As soon as it was available, I watched. I'm like, what are
Sure.
people gonna say? But by the time I got to season 5, I was like, my life was such in shambles. I was like, TV is the least of my problems. Like, what are you gonna say? I'm an asshole. Okay, like I don't care anymore.
Well,
But
yeah, and
I
like
think,
it's I think it's easier to disassociate from like maybe what people have to say because it's such a small portion of your whole life.
yeah,
And you're like, yeah, you're making that because you're saying that because you don't know all of me, you know?
yeah,
And like, that's okay. Like, you're just commenting out of what you know, and that's
yeah,
how
yeah.
I live, you know?
I've never done pillow talk, and that looks very fun. Like that's actually what I would enjoy
I
doing because it looks like you
love
just sit
Pillow
there and
Talk.
bullshit. Yeah,
Yeah.
that looks like a good time.
I love Pillow Talk. It's really fun. It's just, it's like lighthearted, you know, and like fun and get to like chit chat about people who are going through the same things that you're going through. And like you get to watch the show with the people. And it's just, it's a whole, it's like being on the other side
Yeah,
almost, or the third side. I don't know.
yeah,
I really, yeah, Pillow Talk is fun. But yeah, that's how I
yeah.
met you, like through the TV. It was
That's
good.
awesome. How does Guillermo like all of it? Not a fan.
Well, I have a background in being, I would say, like flamboyant,
Hmm.
and like being on stage, like performing, like all of that stuff doesn't bother me. Um, he does not. When I applied for the show,
Hmm.
and it should come to no surprise that I applied for the show, not him. When I applied for the show, I didn't even like tell him I had applied because I never thought that we would actually get on the show.
Wow.
And so I was like, whatever, I'll just write this email and it'll be fine. Um, and then they actually called and I was like, oh hey, so I applied for us to be on the show about our legs. And he was like, what? And like initially he was like, absolutely not. And I was like, oh really? Because you got to be in unison and agreement to
Yeah.
like do it, And I was like, well, what do you mean? And he was like, no, I don't feel comfortable like doing all of that. And I think he got used to it for sure. And
Uh,
he like, we talked about the pros and the cons and this and that. And obviously he came around to it. But like he's not, I mean, I'm sure you've noticed, or
yeah.
maybe he's
I
not
mean, you can
like,
tell like this is not his favorite thing to do. Like that's just not what he was born to do. Johan's very, very similar. I can kind of see similar vibes in that way. Not like, what
yeah.
is this?
And like he's not super active on social media. Like you'll find more stuff about Guillermo on my page than you will on his page. And I'm like, babe, what
Yeah.
are you doing? Like get your shit together. But you just can't force people to do things that they are not interested in.
Yeah.
Like he loves kayaking. He doesn't love posting on social media,
Okay.
Like he doesn't like having to like talk to a camera or feel obligated to like talk to people or anything.
Yeah.
Um
I mean, you can have worse problems, I guess.
oh, 100%. And it's not like
Yeah.
he loves and appreciates like all the people that love
Mhm.
him. He's just not like the type of person to like want to do the
Yeah.
things,
Put himself out there.
Yeah, and I
I
think that's
guess.
probably what makes him great at the same time,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Um,
I would imagine it
because
makes the marriage much easier.
yeah, I mean, two people like me in a marriage would not
Yeah.
handle.
That'd be
It'd
exhausting.
probably be a lot,
I get that.
Tripping. It's what they say tripping. It's time to go outside. Sorry, I'm just
I
like
can't
catching small.
even see the comments. I don't know why.
I don't know. Let's see. I can scroll
Mine
back.
are frozen.
It's hard to show your life on TV. Amen. Hi. I don't know. Armando and Kenny are my favorites. Okay, sorry they're not here. They are really great though. They're
Yeah,
super
they're
fun.
sweet.
I don't know if they're talking to each other in the comment section because it's like shut your mouth, daddy. I'm like, what? Yeah, you have any Valentine's Day plans?
No. No, not at all. What is it? It's soon. I don't even
I
know
think
what the fuck day it is. I have
it's
right.
like next week.
Oh no. Gabe will be back, so I'm sure I'll go and hang out with him and his sister. That's really what I do. Gabe is like my one friend in Miami. I have like a girlfriend too, but she's got a kid and like 11 jobs, so she's very busy and is getting married.
Oh
So I'm sure
God.
she's gonna be and like a partner, but if Gabe is around, I'll hang out with Gabe.
Yeah, I think Saturday there's like a party in my city that's like
Oh,
Galentine's or like Valentine's where
that's
everybody like gets
fun.
dressed up and it's like a bougie little place and like there's like champagne and hors d'oeuvres and
Cute.
I think it's geared toward like single people that have nothing to do, that are like out of place, but like I'm
Yeah.
technically alone at the
Yeah.
moment. And so I'm like, you know what? So I gathered my girlfriends
Uh-huh.
and I was like, we're gonna have like a girls' night, we're gonna go to dinner.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what, it's gonna be better than the last Valentine's Day, even if I stay home by myself. So I'll be okay. I
Yeah.
think I'll be good.
Sometimes Valentine's Day is just about self-love.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
that's kind of what I got. I'm gonna hang out with Gizmo, who's driving me insane. He really, really is very temperamental. I don't know what your problem is, but you've got to stop. You're out of your mind. I'm locking you out. No, you're not coming in. No. All right.
No,
What
I
time
was
is it?
dying. I was gonna tell you your comments in the TikTok
The group chat?
tournament. Every time you called Razvan daddy, I was in tears. Like
Because it's I feel like we were getting reprimanded. I always feel like
I
I'm
mean,
getting reprimanded.
same. I was like, okay, he's like, I don't know if he's like a
It's
very serious
it's
guy.
a Romanian thing. It's just his delivery. He
Is
has no
it? I'm
idea.
like, because on the show, I feel like when I watched him on the show, he seemed like quite like giddy and like more fun maybe than the partner. But again, 90 Day, you don't always see it, every bit of everybody. But
The way he saw it, from what I understood, was like him and this chick put together all of this effort to like create this thing, and nobody was taking it seriously. That's kind of how he felt. That's how I perceived it. That's not based on
about the
anything other
TikTok,
than
the TikTok
about the
tournament.
TikTok tournament. And like he was like, "You're not, if you don't come to my live, you're not going to understand what's happening." And I'm like, "I'm pretty sure that everybody's going to figure it out, Ross. They're going to be okay." Like it's, but I think he felt frustrated. But his delivery, it's even when he's in his TikTok lives, I'm like, how is anyone like him? Because his delivery is mean. But I think it's a Romanian thing. It's the same thing. It's very similar to Andre. Like Andre, when how he presents is like very aggressive, but that's not his vibe at all. He's a
Yeah,
sweetheart.
so nice.
But like,
It's just like the delivery.
yeah, but it's about the delivery. It's that like Eastern European shit. I don't know, but
Yeah,
it
I think
really is.
Eastern European women too. I've
Mm-hmm,
worked like in China. I have a
mm-hmm,
lot of Eastern European like dancer friends, and
mm-hmm.
also I worked for a company where I worked with a lot of Eastern European photographers, and like, yeah, they're just like no bullshit, man. You know?
Yeah, they're very straight.
Uh,
I think
I
I
remember
yeah.
in China, like the Chinese people would be like, "Oh, you're American," and I'm like, "How do you know I'm American?" Because often sometimes people get confused, like if I'm Russian, because there's
Mhm.
so many more Russian and Ukrainian people in China, just the proximity.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "How do you know?" And they're like, "Oh, because you smile. You're so smiley.
Yeah.
You're so happy." And I'm like, "What?"
True.
And then after
They're
they
very
said that, I
stoic.
did kind of notice that like Eastern
Very
European people,
stoic.
like I was like, "Oh, you don't smile," and she like, "Why would I smile?" And I was like, well, I don't know. We're just like so trained to just be like overtly happy.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't
not
know. I think we also probably have a lot more to be happy
sure.
about. Like, I think that they're generally miserable because they're used to these like very stringent government bodies, and they're just miserable. They're. I also feel I used to get my nails done in like this Russian salon in New York, and it was like the most stoic group of. There was not a smile to be had, and it's like a Russian nail factory. Like it's enormous in New York City, and no one ever smiled. It's very much the way. I don't really get it, but
Yeah, I think it's just a cultural thing, you know?
yeah.
But yeah, every time. I feel like
And
when I
that
see
group
him and
chat,
like what he
we
posts,
need
he
to.
seems funny, but
Yeah, the group chats are that group chat was really funny because also Kimberly, that was, that was like, her response. She was like very intense.
oh,
Yeah,
It was a lot of
Oh wait, and
personality.
did you?
Yeah, it was,
Emily from Emily and Kobe
yeah.
DM'd me after and was like, "Yo, your response." I wasn't trying to be rude. I was just like pointing out. I was like, "Yo, if this is how you approach things, then
Your
I bet."
response was killer. That was like the
And
perfect response. But it,
I've
it
never
was
spoken to her. I don't even know.
it was really great. That was my favorite group chat I
Yeah,
think I've ever been in. It was very
I mean, I
entertaining.
had to leave because I was like, don't want to mislead Razan to think that I'm still like competing. God forbid, and I'm not. You know, I just needed to be very clear. Um,
Yeah, it was
it was
fun.
so funny. I feel like I would love to have Razan on my live though.
Yeah.
He's so how do you say, like, excited about
Yes.
lives? Like he
He
makes
really
this a
loves it.
lifestyle.
It is. I didn't realize he could that's who like brought me into this TikTok world because it really is like it's a full-time job. But it's a really good way to connect with people. Like I feel like more so than Instagram, people interact like with each other. They join your team, they follow you to all your lives, you battle with other people all the time. So like I meet people from Indonesia. I met this girl from Kenya who's a teacher the other day. She was like really cool. There's this I battle often with Kermit the Frog, not making that up. It's his name is Kermit Sings, and it's you just hang out with Kermit, and every once in a while Miss Piggy comes on. I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. Um, who else? There's this other guy, Om Barbar, and I battle with him. He's in a bathroom in Indonesia somewhere. It's like I hope that people screen record them because it is very
No,
entertaining.
I
Like
mean
I think it's
sound on
hysterical.
its face it sounds ridiculous, but like in the
Hysterical
best
for
way.
someone who smokes a lot of weed. It's the most entertaining thing I do
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's like it's hysterical. You know, it kills time.
Yeah. I actually, after my child goes down, I eat like a little nighttime gummy that's
Hmm.
like 15 milligrams of THC and 15 milligrams of
Hmm.
CBD. Just like help me sleep because I
Yeah.
felt like my like mom brain never turned off
Yeah.
even when I was sleeping. Any noise. any noise.
Mhm.
Like in the nighttime, I'd be like, my baby's awake. And like, I just like, it would interrupt my sleep pattern so much. I was like, this shit sucks. So I just went and got my gummies. And now I just like eat a half, well, I eat it half. So really it's like 7 milligrams. So
Yeah.
I'm a little baby, but,
Mhm.
um, I just eat my gummy and I don't interact with humans on the internet after that point because I know that shit's gonna get wonky.
No, that's my favorite time to interact with humans. My favorite time. I find it so entertaining because you really, the people on TikTok, when I tell you, like, they put on full shows. Like, they have like colored lights and like neon signs behind them, and they're doing nothing. Sometimes they're just like asking people to send them roses. Like, it's
Well,
really, it's
I've
a whole
seen
show out there.
Rasvan do it, and like he's got like sometimes without a shirt on,
Yeah,
and like with the lights, and like he's moody, you know.
yeah. No,
I
it's
just love how I love how he's leaned in so fully to like sex, you know,
yeah.
and
I mean,
like the
he's an
sex appeal.
actor. Like, he was an actor in Romania, like a whole actor, a real actor. So
Yeah,
I think that like that's a big part of it. Like, he's
a character.
created a character for
Yeah,
himself, and I think that's super cool. Like, I wish I had that skill. I don't know what my character would be. I think just my existence is enough of a
right.
character that I don't necessarily need to
Yeah.
bring anything else. But I wish that I could do that because I could create something probably really funny.
Somebody just said, Kara, can you talk about OnlyFans and what you did on there?
Oh,
So,
what? Yeah, I
OnlyFans.
forgot you had
I
an
still
OnlyFans for a minute, right? Do you
have an
still have it?
OnlyFans. I just haven't posted since August. So, okay, my whole concept of like starting an OnlyFans was I wanted to buy a house.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I need enough. I'm a realtor. Like, I know how much cash is required for
Yeah.
a down payment. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so where are we gonna get this money?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So I was like, let me just open an OnlyFans.
Did it
And so I,
make a lot of money?
yeah, yeah, and like in a month, I made like 10 grand. I mean, which is not like
Yeah.
the biggest performance on OnlyFans, but to be completely amateur and have like no true photographer and like no true anything, I feel
Yeah,
like it
that's
was a pretty good return.
yeah.
And I would do a photo shoot with multiple looks,
Uh-huh.
and then I would just post once a
Mhm.
day, like a couple of images from one look, and then the next day a couple images from the next look,
It
and then so on and so
was
forth.
just still
Yeah,
photos? You made 10 grand on just still
yeah.
photos? That's really good.
I mean, and none of them. So Guillermo and I had the agreement of no assholes, like no booty hole, no vagina, lips, or like interior and nipples.
Okay.
So
That's pretty good. Good. That's pretty good. That's impressive.
yeah, I felt good about it. Anyway, so then by August we bought our
Yeah.
house with other things
Hmm.
too, with not just OnlyFans money, but other
Hmm.
things. You know, I got a lot of irons in the fire.
Yeah.
So we bought our house, and so then I was like, nah, you know, I like moved into a house. I was like closing some real estate deals. I was just like, this is too much, like blah blah blah. The studio where I was shooting at had to be changed into something else. So it was just
Mhm.
like, okay, we're just gonna let this live for now.
Yeah.
But I still have it, and people still pay like for the photography and for DMs and all kinds of stuff. So I'm not gonna take it down. And I had a friend of mine who's a ex Playboy model. Like she was like,
Hmm.
oh my God, we should do a shoot together. So
Yeah.
maybe that's in the future.
I had an unfiltered page, but like I keep trying to deactivate it because I really don't want it to exist anymore. Because I did it more for like fun. It
I
was
don't
like
know
an
what
empowerment.
unfiltered
Like,
is.
it's the same
Oh,
as OnlyFans, but
okay.
Stephanie, who was a 90-day person,
Ah,
it's her platform.
farts in a jar.
Yes, she created her own platform, and so I really did it to support her because
Sure.
I thought that that was super dope
No, it's
because it
so
was like
dope.
the interface is way better than OnlyFans, and you can charge more. What I didn't like about OnlyFans was there was like a limit to how much you can charge, and I don't want my shit out there
For
for
nothing.
that much money. So
Yeah.
I went that route, and like Johan and I did it together because he was like, I want an OnlyFans, we should do an OnlyFans, I want an OnlyFans, and I was like, okay, but like, do you really? He knows nothing about anything, so I was like, do you really know what that's gonna be? It's all gonna be men, and like he's like the most homophobic person on the planet. So I'm like, you really sure that you want to do this? And
How did that work out for you guys?
I mean, clearly not so well.
Yeah.
It was one of the things that was problematic, but so we had an account manager manage his account because I was like, you could do whatever you want, but I'm not managing that shit. I'm like, I'll manage my own account, but I'm not managing yours.
Yeah,
It's too
no.
weird. Like, so we
It's
had
like
an
having
account
Guillermo
manager.
manage my account.
Yeah, which
That's
like
fucking weird. Yeah.
yeah, it was weird. So I had an account manager manage his. I managed mine, and then I was just like, I did it more because it was like fun. Like it was like a sexually empowering thing for me because
Sure.
like
I just enjoyed that part of it. And then, you know, I would like have like moods where it was like something I wanted to play with, but I'm kind of over it. It wasn't really necessary.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is a lot of
It's
work.
a lot
Like everybody's like, oh,
of
I'm just doing
work.
OnlyFans. And it's like, okay, well, you want to curate images. It's like same. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
you blow up on Instagram. And it's like, guess what? You got another full-time job.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to create content, post content, interact with fans. Like it's a lot. And it's like, okay, am I going to put energy and time into that? That's not my future career. Like if I wanted to go into porn, you know, I would put my time and
100%.
energy into that. And like, honestly, I get so many calls. They're like, please, can I manage you? Please, can you do this? Please, 100K. It'll be so easy. And I'm just like, it would be so fucking easy. I wouldn't have
So
to do anything
easy.
anymore. And I'm just like, no, that's just not where I want to put my time, my energy.
Yeah,
I don't.
I
Maybe
agree.
if you would have called me when I was 26, maybe, but like, not at this stage of my life. I feel ridiculous.
Yeah, I haven't taken down my OnlyFans because I'm just waiting to determine like I think my next monetary goal is I want to have enough cash to buy commercial buildings and do like triple net leases. I
Okay.
don't know if I'm getting out of hand here,
No,
but you
no.
know, like buy a commercial building and have CVS as my tenant,
Okay.
or like for
Okay.
example, and so you can
So
charge.
when you did your, because what I'm trying to do is like buy like multi-family homes in
Sure.
places where there
Mhm.
are like grants for those
Mhm.
things so that I can just be a property manager that way.
Yeah,
And but I never thought about leasing to
businesses.
um businesses, but that's probably a lot more
Well, it's a
profitable.
lot more consistent
Yeah.
because when you're dealing with people in residential housing, you're dealing with their problems. A window got broken.
Yeah.
My front door don't work no more. My fire alarm is
Yeah.
broken. Like my
Yeah.
refrigerator stopped working. My pipes burst. And
Yeah.
guess who's responsible for, unless you have a property management company that you're paying out of your profits to manage
Yeah.
those spaces,
Yeah.
you're the one at 2 a.m. It's like, oh, my pipe burst and the basement's flooded. I don't know what to do. You got to show up and be like,
Yeah.
hi, here I am to save the pipes. You're like, you're
Yeah.
not a fucking plumber, but like you got to go show your face because it's your property and they don't know who else to call and it's technically your responsibility.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're renting to like a CVS or like somewhere, they're not, no one, like there's not a tenant there that's
Yeah.
life is dependent on you
Yeah.
being
You fixing the thing.
available
Yeah.
24/7, you know? Like if
No,
there's an
that makes a
issue
lot
with
of
the
sense.
building, they'll call you and say, hey, listen, there's a pipe that burst. And then you can be like, okay, great. Like no one at CVS is going to expect your face to show up to
Yeah.
fix the pipe. Dude,
Yeah.
these
I got
fucking,
it.
have you
I
noticed these like little
I
bubbles?
don't think they work for me.
They do.
Oh.
And guess what?
Oh.
If you do two of them,
Wait.
Guillermo and I were playing about this. Stop.
Someone
Guillermo's
did
going to
this the other
die.
day.
No, because we could not figure out for the longest what was happening. And then we figured it out. I think if you watch this, hold on. Fireworks. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that I didn't know. Is it working for me?
Oh, and
Is it
watch
only...
this. You ready? You can do a down thumbs. That'll give a thumbs down, right? But if you do two thumbs down, it rains.
That is so cool. Oh my God. Wait, I want the fireworks. Why isn't it
There you
working?
go.
Oh, there we go. That is amazing.
Yay!
I love
Learn
it.
something
Thank you for that.
new every day.
I love it. I
Isn't it
love it. All right, what
wild?
time is it?
I know it's almost 11.
I
It's
feel like I need my
10:45.
bed.
Yeah. No, we should wrap it up. But thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, it was super fun. Thank you for inviting
Yeah, of
me.
course. Anytime. I said, I just hate doing lives by myself. So
Yeah, I'm always here, and we're gonna get you on TikTok. You're gonna join the TikTok fam because that's really where it's at.
yeah, I'm like I want to be there. I just wish it was like instantaneous.
It'll be quick.
No,
I'm
and I
telling you,
might just
2 weeks.
devote all of my singing to that, and then
I
that way
think
I can
that
just like,
if you like just sit one day, record all of your singing videos, post them, and then say, okay, I'm gonna be live on TikTok Monday, Wednesday, Friday at this time once the baby goes to bed, and I'm performing these songs.
yeah,
You can battle with, you can sing with Kermit. Like, it's really
yeah.
fun. It really is.
Okay, you're convincing me. I like it. All right, well, have a good night. Thanks
You
everybody for
too, of
being here and
course.
watching.
Peace. Bye.